I'm Ann Allred. Here's a look at today's big stories. A man suspected of shooting his wife and killing her parents has been found dead. In a story we've been following out of New Canton, Illinois. According to NBC affiliate in Quincy, sheriff's deputies found the man after a search of the city. They say his wife told them he shot her and threatened her parents. After doing a wellness check, they found her parents dead. They later found him dead in his own home.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And this just happened October the 2nd this morning. And since they didn't show you the picture of the guy, I'm going to show you a picture of the guy, but I'm also going to bring you some on the scene coverage from another news article where 67-year-old Gerald Waligorski, one of the whitest names I ever heard of, was accused of shooting his wife at their house, then going to his wife's parents' house and shooting them. And then he was found dead. So that's 3 deaths in a matter of, minutes or hours, all in the all-white town of New Canton, Illinois. Yes, I looked up the demographics and it said it was 100% white. So we could gather or call it a sundown town, probably. And we've all heard many of the stories about those towns in Illinois and Indiana where blacks weren't too welcome. And it happened in Pike County, and Pike County also has a extremely high white population of 96.5 and only a 0.43 population of black people. Now, this is one of the many incidents that we've seen lately of white men just imploding in violence amongst members of their family. I'm talking about this guy is 67. And so I imagine his wife has to be the same age. So how old were her parents? And what made him do this? Like, did she put too many raisins in the potato salad this time? I don't know. We don't know. But this is something that's amazing to me. And I always have to refer back to the scripture and the violence that has been perpetrated in these areas by people returning back to their own household. Now I'm going to show you this clip real quick of the reporter on the scene. They're giving some preliminary details, but you're also going to hear the sheriff or the police explain, their version of events after all of the dust settles. And this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
Well, from the WGEM Digital News Desk, I'm Jason Luton, joined by WGEM News Director Chad Douglas. We have more information on a developing situation in Pike County. Chad, what can you tell us?
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate, if you haven't been following what's going along, there is an active shooter situation in New Canton, Illinois. And so far, the schools in that area are on like a soft lockdown or at least safe and secure mode. The Pike County Sheriff's Office cannot stress enough that if you live in that area, please stay indoors and please lock your doors. If you see something, say something. WGM's Dylan Smith has been on scene for us for about an hour. We're going to check in with him now as the search ramps up. Dylan, what's the latest?
Chad, no new information from ISP or the Pike County Sheriff's Office. This is currently the view we have right now. We are currently staged on Main Street, and now as you can see, traffic is still flowing. Main Street is not closed down, but where this Illinois State Police car is over here, what would have been to my left is where we're told just a few blocks away is the current scene. We have not been given an exact location of where that scene is. No address, no street, nothing like that. There's multiple media on scene as well. Pike County Sheriff's Office also on scene. Just a few minutes ago, we saw a helicopter circling the area. It looked like it came down and then went back up, potentially back out of New Canton. And before that, a drone probably about 30 minutes ago. Back to you, Chad.
Dylan, I'm curious with you there on scene, kind of what's the atmosphere? Is it a pretty urgent situation where you are?
No really sense of urgency. We've had a few locals come up and talk to us. They don't seem too frightened, but I know you mentioned people should stay indoors right now as there is an active scene right now. But no sense of urgency. Law enforcement are currently out of the vehicles. We, the media, we are obviously out of our vehicles right now, so not getting that sense of urgency yet.
And you talked to some of the neighbors. Have they, shared any, any information about how things unfolded today, or things that they heard?
Nothing of that sort, just some of the sights and sounds over the last few hours, just some things they have seen. They mentioned that one neighbor about 5 minutes ago mentioned that he saw a house taped up over here, which is the opposite direction of what is blocked off. So that's unconfirmed on if a house over here is taped up on the opposite side of where what is currently blocked off. We're still waiting for information from ISP to see if those are related.
WGM's Dylan Smith.
All right, so we're going to stop it there. It sounds like that they have very bad audio out there in New Canton, Illinois. But, as at that point in time, I guess they hadn't found the shooter. There are actually 2 different crime scene locations. Evidently, he was a terrible shot with his wife, because she was able, after he shot her, she called the police and told them, hey, this guy just shot me. My husband just shot me. And then, he's going to my parents' house, who also lived in New Canton. Now, mind you, New Canton has a population of 359 people. So he probably was in a stone's throw, as they say, distance from the family's house, since evidently they wasn't too agile to, avoid the gun violence. And, he hit them, and then he went back to his house. Now, I don't know if he was staying in a different house than his wife, or, after his wife got shot, she went to the hospital. Then he went back to his house, and then they said they found him dead. So we have to infer that, he took the coward way out. He unalived himself. But once again, this violence, man, we don't know what is going on. Once again, that violence. And once again, it's an all-white town. So, I always harp on the fact of the violence that has been perpetrated by white people all across the world. So when there's nobody else, they just have to return to violence against themselves. As the scripture said, a man's enemies in the last days will be those of his own household, and literally those of his own household. But I'm going to let you take a look or listen to what the law authorities are saying about this situation. Then I'll be back with more commentary. But this is definitely an example. I mean, like, so many stories are coming in that I can't do them all at one time. I need to just do a whole marathon of these stories that are coming in. But just listen at these law enforcement officers, and then we'll be back with a little more commentary. This, once again, is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
The 911 call of a shooting in the 300 block of Mississippi Street in New Canton, Illinois. Deputies from the sheriff's office responded. Upon arrival, they met with the victim, who indicated that she had been shot by her husband. Also, during the incident, the victim indicated that her husband had made threatening remarks to harm her parents, which also reside in New Canton. Upon hearing that, additional units were requested. We went to the residence of the victim's parents here in New Canton, which is located in the 200 block of New Canton, or 200 block of Monroe Street in New Canton. Upon arrival, deputies did a welfare check. We entered the home and located both parents deceased in the residence. So we have 2 deceased at one residence and 1 shot at another. Additional resources came from the Illinois State Police and many other police agencies. We secured the residences and applied for search warrants. The suspect's home, we attempted to make contact with them, was unable to do so, at which time ISP SWAT executed a search warrant on the home. The suspect was located deceased in the home. You act like you're getting ready to say something. Oh.
Any questions? The suspect's identity, please.
The suspect is identified as Gerald E Waligorski, age 67.
Is he a Pike County native?
He has lived here for some time. I don't know where he's originally from.
you had prior contact with him before?
No, I have not.
Do we have a motive?
No, at this time we do not. Obviously this incident is still very preliminary. So, we don't have a lot of answers yet. Those will come in the near future.
What's your general reaction of something like this happening in such a small, quiet town?
You have to keep in mind that I've worked for this county for 26 years and can count on two hands the number of violent crimes that we've had. It's a shocking incident, and I think it shocks everybody, especially in the town the size of New Canton.
Where do investigators, law enforcement, where do you go from here?
So the Illinois State Police will be taking over the investigation from this point forward, at which time they'll conduct additional interviews, conduct or execute additional search warrants for information, and try to come up with some motive.
Have you recovered the weapon?
That I do not know.
Okay. Do you know what kind of weapon?
At this point, no. No, it would be speculation.
Schools were put on lockdown as a precaution. Can you tell us what went right with the response?
Yeah, the schools, and we were quick to put out a press release as well. We notified the schools to let them know, I think before school started, if I'm correct, to have the schools on the lockdown because we're actually, obviously looking for the suspect. So schools were put on lockdown, and that lockdown has now been lifted.
So from time of the first call to the location of the suspect, what was the time lapse, you think?
So the first call happened at around 6 a.m. And without looking at my watch, 5 hours-ish, I would say.
Is there any need for any more information? Do you think there are others who might have information that we don't?
Well, certainly we'll look into aspects of that. We have nothing right now, as far as any future potential safety concerns, but we will be addressing that as part of the investigation.
Anything else? If I could just...
All right, and so we'll stop it right there. But there you see the guy doesn't really have any information. He doesn't have a motive, whether, his wife was messing with Jim Bob at the tire store and, her family knew about it, or, once again, where there are too many devils in the eggs or too much paprika in, the potato salad. I don't know, but whatever it was, I mean, the situation is over. She won't be able to do that no more. He won't be able to eat no more raisin field potato salad. But once again, this is a phenomenon that we're seeing more and more of, especially with elderly white people. Once again, he's 67. And so if you do the math, he was born in the 1958. And so, he grew up in that time. And, he probably witnessed some things that, had put some hatred in his heart, and not, once again, hatred, can't be, as I mentioned, energy can't be replaced. It can only be transferred. So once you have a hatred spirit and you gotta, inflict it on somebody. And so in this case, it was the people that was close to him, his loved ones, quote unquote. And, once again, as Malcolm said a long time ago, and I kind of refer to this when I see all of this white on white violence, white on white crime is chickens coming home to roost. The violence that have been perpetrated by white people in this country and abroad is coming home to their own homes. And, they're just exploding and imploding with violence. The sowing and reaping, if you want to use it scripturally, the violence of the wicked, is returning upon their own head. Or if you dig a ditch, be prepared to fall in that same ditch. All sorts of things we are seeing about this American country, the way, it was set up, the foundation of this country was built upon violence. And now we see, the violence, returning in various ways upon various population. But once again, this happened in a all-white town. And so I don't know if president is going to come on and denounce the violent crime and the violent of these white small towns, this all-white town. And Vice President J.D. Vance and the Speaker of the House is going to come and, make the necessary speech when, there's other demographics committing these crimes. So we'll see about that. And if you do like this content, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And You see the number 919-587-7782. And as always, I pray you have peace and blessings. Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.